So now we are going to work on one of the best players Indian cricket has to offer to us, and that is of Sachin Tendulkar. Okay. So this is my way of doing it. You people can have a different way, which is perfectly acceptable. We are going to, in this, see how to work on the Tithi, Vaara, Hora, Karna, Nakshatra, and Yoga. Another thing that I always do when I do any chart analysis is I open on the chart of the said person. Okay, so I'll tell you why. Because if I'm doing the Tithi, okay, generally people talk about their relationships. Okay, the first relationship they are going to talk about is people who are coming to us are either married, want to get married. So they want to talk to us about the relationship with their spouse. Tithi is relationships, full stop. It can be about your spouse, it can be about your parents, it can be about your children. We will have to look into the Dagdha Rashi of the Tithis. So the Dagdha, let's look into his chart once more. His chart says that he is born on the Krishna Saptami. Okay, so when it's born on Krishna Saptami, again, the moon is the Lagna Lord. It's in the 6th house with Rahu. 6th house Rahu is strong. Moon also shows, with Rahu, can show fears and illusions, but can also give, as a Lagna Lord, a great desire to win. 6th house, don't forget, is your house of competitions. And his moon is in Purv Ashara Nakshatra. We'll do that. Okay. The Vedic day that he's born is Tuesday, where his moon is Mars is exalted. Okay. And the Lord of the Vedic day is also Mars. The yoga is Siddha Yoga. We'll do that also. And Karna is Vishtikarna. We've done that Vishtikarna yesterday in the last class, but we will do it in great detail today also. Now look at it. He will, the Saptami, people born on Saptami are ruled by the deity Sun. And it's not that sun of our planet, please, sun of the planet that we have in our chart. It's the deity Sun, as in the sun god that you need to worship. Okay. And Saptami people who are born will generally see a rise, a gradual rise in life. The rise is definite and gradual, as you can see in the case of Sachin. Again, these people, the Dagda Rashi is Cancer, and it is the second Dagda Rashi is the sign of Sagittarius. When we talk about Cancer, it says Lagna. Okay. And the sign of Sagittarius. The Sagittarius, I've always told you, it's in the 6th house. The 12 houses, or the 3rd house, if there's the Dagda Rashi following, it will not have that bad an effect. And if there's Rahu-Ketu or a retrograde planet, that also absorbs the Lagna, the Dagda Rashi effect. But in his Dagda Rashi, there's also the moon, and his Lagna also falls in the Dagda Rashi. Any one of you, do you think he has suffered? Do you think he has suffered as a Lagna? Who will suffer? He himself will suffer. So any one of you who can say that, do you think, my question here is, do you think he has suffered or not?
Yes.
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 Right.
Yes.
How? Yes. Okay. So 2 people saying yes. Why and how do you say yes?
Let Sharda ji say first, and then I can say.
Means it took him more time, ma'am, means to come to that first, and he came from the very less means
very humble backgrounds. Okay, so to move up, he has put in a lot of effort. Okay,
lot means lot. It is not an easy thing for him.
Yes. Okay, good. Dharamjit?
Ma'am, see, he during his career had to face a series of injuries. he had to face insult because he was a good player but never was a good captain.
We'll do that.
And
Yes. Okay. Yes. That's
and
yes.
and the series of injuries which he had to face happened in the early to middle part of his career. Towards the later of his career, he was very consistent. And one of those injuries was like almost like a very threatening injury in which he had to stop playing certain cricket shots because it was straining that specific muscle, which for him was very weak.
Okay.
And he started very early. His breakthrough happened when he was some 11 years old, when he scored
16.
those
He
triple
was,
hundred.
yes, he started playing
International
Ranji at
debut, international debut 16, and he got hit on the face in the first match with Pakistan.
yes. So yes, all that is well documented and very good at that for pointing that, Dharamjit. Apart from the fact, you see that he was relentless in his pursuit. And whenever you are relentless in a pursuit, you have to let go of a part of yourself. You miss out on a lot of things. Okay, if I'm relentlessly teaching you guys, then on a Sunday, am I not missing out on a Sunday lunch or a Sunday breakfast or other things? So the thing is, I'm not talking about myself here. I'm just talking about the kind of mental attitude we had. The Lagna also represents your physical body, the physical body that he had, which both of you pointed out that he had to undergo a lot of problems with. And not only that, it's in the 6th house. So the mental framework of Rog Ripu Rin that he had to face, that Ripu, that opposition, and the mentality that he had to, make himself into, all of that you can see with the Dagda Rashis working. Okay, it's basically, it's just the self and the enemy. It's not about anybody else. The problem that he will face in life is with self and enemy, and you can see it very clearly as an example. That is the reason why I chose this chart, because we know his life, public life, inside out. Okay,
Just to point out, even his married life suffered.
we'll see that one.
Because you should see the interview of his wife.
Yes.
And ma'am, you told he always went to ground with the wet pants.
Yes.
It is not easy. It means he suffered that to that level all the time. Only 2 pants, one in the washing and one in the worn. He would
Yes.
have worn.
Yes. And now when you talk about the married life, okay, see the Mars. I have made a video on Mars in the 7th house. Okay, because his married life suffered, that is why he has been able to sustain his marriage. Mars in the 7th house is very problematic. It's very problematic. There have been, I put in 3 examples of Mars in the 7th house. One is deceased actor Shami Kapoor. 2 is our Sachin Tendulkar, and the 3rd one is Amir Khan. Marriage is not sustainable if they live together. If they're able to live apart, then only will that marriage be sustainable. And the best example I can give you here is Lord Ram.
Ma'am, the Nitya of that Tithi is very powerful also.
Yes, we'll do that. Yes. Yes. No, I have not given the Nitya. I have not worked on the Nitya here for very many reasons. Let's keep the Nitya for the Panchang class.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Okay. I don't want to be responsible for its other connotations. Okay. So now when we're talking about the energy center, this is because Mars represents the energy, and we're talking about Tuesday, which is the energy center. When we talk about the energy here, the Mars here is exalted and it's the Yogkarak. That man is a warehouse of energy. And as Dharamjit said, in the very first match, when he had his nose kind of smashed, okay, and he has said that I went back to the dressing room after my first match, and I was asking myself Is my career over? Is my career over? What happened to me? Will I be able to sustain? At 16, if you're sledged so badly and your nose goes off, no matter how good that you are, your confidence does take a shock and a shake. But because that Mars is so strong, and it's also the fifth ruler. Remember, Mars in the fifth house is a very good example. Okay. Mars is a good example of Mars in the fifth house is an ace player. Now it's in the fifth ruler in the seventh house, and it's exalted. And we're talking about his energy quotient. He's born on a Tuesday. Wherever that Mars will sit, whichever houses that it will own, it will express itself. Mars sits in the seventh house, is in deep exaltation in its own nakshatra. I will always recommend all of you to please check the nakshatra everywhere if possible. Dhanishta nakshatra, which means a need, a desire to be famous, to make money, and to be famous, to be responsible. If you look into the small snippets that's given, he was very good as a person, as a captain, non-playing captain. But he was not good as a captain. We will see in the Karana why. Risera. Okay. So, now.
Can I just a quick question? I asked because I don't know. Did he have a decent personal life?
Yes.
Okay, he has to, because he's got that Shiva energy.
Okay. So, you see, his Mars is also aspecting the 10th house. So, the kind of energy that he puts into his profession is exemplary, unheard of. You can say that it is also with a debilitated Jupiter. Yes, it is. So, he is very soft while talking to others. But he lets his game speak for itself. Okay? Any questions here, anybody? None? I'm moving forward. So that is where he will put in his energy. All of you can ask me when is it that will come up. Okay? Mars is also, as Dharamjeet said, ma'am, when? 13th year. We did a lot of timing also. 13th year could be an important year. 15th year could be an important year. We will be able to see how that energies express themselves for it. And we are not even going into the divisional charts. If I take you now into the divisional charts, see, if I told you, see, when we did this, oh, no, not this. Sorry. Oh, chart did I? This is not his chart. Hold on. So, कौन सा भूल गया कहाँ से बन गई you look at his 10th house again. Mars becomes his Yogkarak. Okay, D10. If you look at his D10, Mars becomes his Yogkarak. It is Digbali in the 10th house with Rahu. He'll be a very different ball game altogether. All of us can say that that Mars is afflicted. Yes, there is Rahu and Mangal sitting, Rahu Mangal sitting together, Angarak Yog in his career. It's not been easy. As Dharamjeet earlier on said, he had to face a lot of flake for being not so good a captain. And this Mars is also looking at his Lagna. But we also know that as Mars is very strong, very digbali, ninth lord with Rahu, it's giving him a great ability to play at an international standard. I can go around in the Amsha rulers. I always do that when I do a Panchang analysis. I check out the Amsha rulers also. Futuristic thought process, and one working with the mental agility of the Vayu. Okay, you can look into the D10 also, divisional chart nakshatras, for those who do the divisional chart and the nakshatras. You can find out. It's always on the search of bettering his art as much as that he can.
Sorry.
You go ahead, please ask.
I was just going to say, for a fighter or a sportsman, to have Agni and Vayu
is the best combination.
It doesn't get any better.
It doesn't get any better. Yes. Okay. So you can also see the way his energy is being utilized in his profession. We'll take up the D10 chart again when we do the profession, the Karana for him. Okay. Okay. So now we have to do his Hora. Best part is his Hora Lord. If you see, his Hora Lord is Jupiter. And Jupiter is with Mars. Here that Jupiter gets a lot of strength because it is associated with the exalted planet. Okay. And understand that very well, that Jupiter is in Shravana Nakshatra. He has his eyes and ears all open. Whenever he plays, and you can go and look into the YouTube. Today, the YouTube is one of the best places to get a lot of knowledge, provided you know what you're looking for, okay, and not doing random search. You will see that he's often had very right intuitions because he had been very observant of what's out there in the field.
The Lord of competition and the Lord of Bhagya is looking at the ascendant. Beautiful.
Yes. So, and it's also the 5th and the 9th lord together in the 7th house. It's a combination of its own type. Okay. Yeah, and he comes at a point of transition when they didn't have too much of access to data, to a time when data became easy to access. So he came from a period when he had to learn it instantly, and then to recall from memory, to a period when things became much more relaxed. And he was capable of using that quote from memory, quote unquote, kind of things. So, and his Aura Lord is very clearly stating that he's capable of building a lot of things. He's a lucky person because it's the 9th lord also, Jupiter, aspecting the Lagna. See, whenever you work on situations, you will see that Purusharth and Paramarth both work. Your effort and the luck or the grace, so-called grace of the Lord above, has to work in tandem for you to reach a certain height. And for him, both of that work.
So, ma'am, the weekday and the Hora Lord, they're sitting together in a Kendra.
In the Kendra. And so, yes,
it's beautiful.
He was. And see, so when we do the past life, we'll also see that Jupiter plays a very important role. So yes, he was born to finish of certain, see his Ketu is also in the 12th house. So it's born to finish off certain of this karma. And the best part is, if you look into it, you will find that he's not very, he's down to earth to a number of things.
Ma'am, can I play my own bugle?
Yes.
Look at how close the degrees are.
Yes,
the degrees are only 2, 16, 16, 16, 16, 24, 24, 24, 24.
Yes.
This brings greatness. The closer the degree, whatever the signs are, it will bring some amount of greatness.
Yeah, because
the planets are placed.
They are all very equally spaced house-wise. No. Very equally spaced.
I differ on the mechanics of how it works. But yeah. With the degree thing really works. I mean, you see the great kundlis, the degrees will repeat.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. And they're very, so the aspect on each other is going to be very prompt also. Like you say, see, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Sure. Okay. So we've done this. Now let's move on to a second. Yes. So now move on to Karna. Now we come to the contention as to why Dharamjit said, ma'am, he did not make a good captain. Because when you come to his Karna is Vishti Karna. Okay. And Saturn for him is placed in Mriksira Nakshatra. And I'll do this later, but let's see. Vishti Karna is ruled by Saturn. Okay. And when we talk about his time of birth, please look again. Krishna Saptami. Vishti, there are 8 kinds of Vishti, as I had taught you in the Vishti class last time. And Krishna Saptami is Trisira. As I had told you about the story of Trisira, extremely intelligent, but probably faulty decision making. And here, with his Saturn sitting in Mriksira, there's a need to more, to better, to take a chance, not to experiment, to go ahead and try something new. And no consistency, so to say, about that captaincy of his. So he did make mistakes, his fair share of mistakes. And that is why he was not said to be a good captain. He knew about his game, but he was a very good, I mean, paradoxically, he was a very good non-playing captain. But he was a not so good playing captain. It's because of the Trisira, where you have a little too much of knowledge and probably executing it beyond the boundaries, not doing the right thing by it. And to top it all, that Saturn happens to be in the Mriksira Nakshatra, where you're looking for as many options as possible. You can't afford to do that. Am I making sense to you guys?
Yes.
Okay. Finally, Purv Ashada Nakshatra. Okay. And that also with Rahu. Is a neat...
Can I, with your permission, just a
Sure.
very good question. Because the deity, I think, is Yama.
The deity is Yama, yes. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Was he associated with social causes, with
He is.
okay.
He played many matches for charity.
Yeah,
That only he is asking, right? No?
yeah. So the thing is that when you move to a certain level, you become associated to causes.
No, but beyond this, was he vocal, directly or indirectly, for social justice?
Not that I know.
Never. He will never say anything other related to cricket. He won't talk about anything else. He might be doing a lot of...
He does his own bit. He does his own bit, but he doesn't.
Maybe privately, because having this Yama, and correct me if I'm wrong, ma'am, he will have this energy.
Yeah, so the Karna in his work, he will stick to his work. He does not cross his because of Trisira. Again, because of Trisira, he is working. The modulations that he's getting is in his game only. He's not going beyond that game. And he does not make any statement. That is for sure. He does not cross his boundaries. And with that Yama, I'm happy that he does not. Because we all know what happened when Lord Yama crossed his boundaries. Okay? Okay. So the nakshatra here that we see is Purvashada. Okay. And with Purvashada, there is an ability to understand what's going behind the veil, be extremely knowledgeable that he is. You can ask any team member of his and you will know that the knowledge that he holds is far beyond of cricket, is far beyond what anybody in the field today has. Okay. And then also you will find that these people are also capable of a very aggressive attitude. Okay.
It's a fierce nakshatra in a way.
It's a fierce nakshatra. It's a fierce nakshatra. One thing that they need to have a deep control over is their irritation, is their insecurity. And luckily for this person, because of the Vishtikarna, he and the Yama, in his field of work, he learned that aggression, that control. And he allowed his game to talk for himself. Okay. So that worked for in his favor very well. But these people can be very understanding of the situation, and these people can really move and check every step of the way. They can realize a lot of things. Whatever that they do, whatever that they are working in, they will be very proficient. You know, he cooks a beautiful meal. Again, it's the nakshatra of Purvashada, the nakshatra of the mothers, the waters. He knows how to feed people. Ask his team members.
Is his wife life story, or do we know much about his wife?
Not that I know much about. I have just concentrating in
Wife is older than him.
Yes, quite older.
It was a love marriage, and he pursued her for many years, and she thought he was too short and not really the best suited person for him.
She's a gynecologist. She's a gynecologist.
Yeah, she's a doctor. She's very beautiful. And then suddenly, before he became super famous, she said yes. And then after marriage, his career also took off.
See, it's very young marriage. Because his Atma Karaka is Mangal, and his Dara Karaka is...
We're not going there now.
Okay, anyway, but it's very, very interesting.
Goli lag jayegi. Nazim ji ko goli lag jayegi.
Okay.
Okay. So, Apaha, Varchasva Grahana Shakti that I told you about. So yes, he will be able to get that position very strong. Finally, the Siddha
One
Yoga.
observation, ma'am, about Purva Ashada. There is the mind in the Purva Ashada gives you some sort of ability to disconnect situations. Like when you are playing cricket, yes. I don't have Rahu myself. I am not comparing myself to Sachin Tendulkar, the great man. But when you are doing one task, you are able to move everything else out of your brain.
Exactly.
It is that one single-minded thing which will come to you.
Yes. That is why.
Why is that? Why is that?
That's why it's because supposed to be one of the very cruel nakshatras. You have the ability to focus whenever you talk about the Rakshasas.
Yeah, but there are other cruel nakshatra, ma'am, that you don't get that focus.
I think it's something to do with Jupiter. I think it's the Jupiter.
Okay, continue, please.
No, I could be wrong, ma'am. Aapko mere se zyada malum hai.
No. But I think when we talk about the Rakshasas, it's very clear.
See, that is correct.
Their focus is unparalleled. Look at the Devtas, they're all over the place. Rakshasas, if they are doing any one of us does a Tadasan for more than 5 minutes, I'm willing to pay you guys. The Rakshasas for eons have stood in Tadasan, Sirsasan and done their Adhyat, done their penance. It's because that focus that they have. It's either the Sattvic or the Tamasic who's able to break the glass ceilings. Just remember that.
And Venus in the Vimshotri is the ruling
planet.
Graha.
Yes.
And Venus can be the smoothest thing or the most dangerous thing.
Yes.
So where does the cruel nakshatra fall in the Rashis? Where is it that's going to get its flavor from? It's cruelty, but with what? Right? So that would be Jupiter in this case. The energy is Jupiterian. And determination comes from there.
Yes, exactly. To do what is right.
And Sagittarius is the sign of war.
Yes.
So you go at it.
Exactly. And to stand by the right, the determination. Here, it's for those people who remember that match where he showed India was, later on it came out, and I'm not speaking something out of turn. Later on it came out that India was supposed to have lost that match because it was a fixed match. But he made sure that India would not lose even in the run rate. And as he was going back to the pavilion, he showed his bat to Ajay Jadeja and said, look, I I made sure that because it's about being aggressive, he's letting his work, I repeat again, with that Mangal very strong, and that Jupiter also, due to the support of that Mangal, and as the Purvashara says, I will fight for what is the right.
And all the bookies lost all the money. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So, as Dharamjit said, what are you aggressive about? You're aggressive about the truth and nothing but the truth. See, the Panchang will give you, I mean, this for me, as far as I'm concerned, this could go a lot more deep. The Kartikeya, it's the Siddha Yoga. We know it's the general, and the way that you play, you may feel insecure, you may be battle hardened. Right from a young age, he has been battle hardened. We know that this yoga is prompting us to do it, to understand that. And yet, when the time comes, you will, I repeat, you will be acknowledged and you will be revered, you will be respected. Again, with this yoga, you can become the kingmaker. You can become the best warrior, but you can't become the king. He was not a good captain. He was not a good king, but he was exemplary as a player. He still is. He's just, with this World Cup going on, he is said to be the face of the World Cup, the ambassador for India and the World Cup as such.
That we can also relate to Mars in Dhanishta, right?
Mars and Dhanishta, yes, you can relate. And then you can also look into his, see, when you're looking at the yogi and the avayogi grahas, you can also look into the Rahu is again for him in, this is the again the D10 that I've seen, yeah, the D1. Rahu is again in Purvashara. So it's again telling me that yes, there's a strong need to fight. See, he's got an exalted sun at deeply exalted sun, and that's in the 10th house. He's got 2 exalted planets, but a deep debilitated planet is also something that is required. And yes, a debilitated planet and Jupiter to make him, give him that push that yes, don't speak, but work. And probably because this Jupiter is debilitated, so he is not very good at strategizing for the entire team, but he's good with his own game because that Mars is exalted. So probably one thing that he needed to do in this lifetime was to learn how to strategize for the entire team.
And ma'am, I know you're going to cover later the Nityas, but just that Shiva Duty energy is so beautiful, explaining everything you're explaining.
Yeah, so yes, I know that it is doing that, but on a public platform, because this is going to go, I said I might just put it on YouTube. Sure. So I didn't want it to, the Nityas are very potent forces.
Thank you.
Okay. So any questions on this chart? You see, you can go deep down. You can, when you're doing the D10, you will get a special flavor because you're comparing the Karana and the D10. And when you're doing the Tithi, again, you can compare the D9 and the Tithi, and you can come across with a lot of, you can come across with a lot of conclusions yourself. Because when you're doing the Dagda Rasis, again, see, when I'm doing the Dagda Rasi here, you will see that the Dagda Rashi for him was again Sagittarius, and here in his D9, Sagittarius becomes the Lagna. Good thing that the 8th house becomes the second Dagda Rasi. So not much problems from in-laws, but yes, the Lagna. So he himself, and that 7th lord is sitting here. So he had certain issues with before marriage with his spouse, and he could not convince her for a good part of the year.
Why did you say before marriage?
Yeah, because as Dharamjit also told us that he had an issue. She did not want to get married to him because he was quite young compared to her. But you see, he has a planet in the seventh house in Shravana. If you notice, that's his sixth lord, and giving him a strong persuasive quality,
They'll be very charming,
very
Ravana
charming.
people.
Yes,
But sixth lord in seventh house will also create problems in the marriage.
that's
She did
exactly.
have, but that was not extramarital affair type problem. That was problem because she was spending time alone and he was traveling overseas 3 months, 4 months at a time.
But that is what saved the marriage.
That
It is also
saved
the
him.
ninth.
Exactly. That saved him.
It saved her also. Otherwise, she would have
Yes.
been a dead bat.
Correct.
And you see, one more thing is that it's also the ninth lord Jupiter. So they became good friends and things worked out for them.
But you know, ma'am, the interesting thing is, away from the kundali, show me what marriage has no issues.
That's exactly. So with this, we end the analysis of Sachin Tendulkar.
Into fifth house.
Please ask.
Dagd Rashi falls into fifth house, then we can go to, we can see D7 also.
Yeah,
in
you
that.
see, yes, see, supposing you're looking at it, third house and the eighth house for him in the D7. Okay, so eighth house is becoming, here eighth house does not work. Third house, the gains of his first child can be an issue. So all this Dagda Rashi is when you're doing. And okay, when we are also looking into the Saptami, Saptami is the lord of Saptami is Saturn. See where Saturn is placed. Saturn is placed in the 12th house. When his children are away or when he is away from his children, only then they will get a growth. And I've always maintained, that when take an example of Amitabh Bachchan. He is from the film industry. Take an example of Sachin Tendulkar. He is from a cricketing fraternity. Take an example of the Gandhis, for example, Indira Gandhi. Okay, because they have been so stellar personalities in their lives. Whatever that their children do in their footstep will always be compared. Their children, see, if my father is one of the exceptional chartered accountants, okay, and my brother takes over his business as a chartered accountant, because yes, if they're individual, it's a part of the business, he takes it over. Then people are going to, people think that because there is an automatic transfer of clients, it's automatic. No, people do compare. The old people will say, your father used to do things that way, not realizing that it is not right to compare two beings. It's not right. So it's across the fields, anywhere where a father has established himself, the son or the daughter has a real struggle there.
Although
Could also be seen.
Sorry.
No, please continue, sir. Please continue.
No, I was just going to ask a very quick question, and I don't mean to derail the discussion here. But my very humble understanding is that Sanjay Gandhi was far more involved behind the scenes in his mother's politics than meets the eye.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yes, Dharamjit.
So my just a thought. I mean, I could be wrong, but in the Kundli, when you're seeing that the person, the protagonist, as in Amitabh Bachchan ji or Indira Gandhi ji or Sachin Tendulkar, they are famous. They are an international personality. They are used up their fifth house.
Yes.
And then the fifth house also begets children.
Yes.
So maybe that is a karmic way of balancing it.
Yeah, very, very good way of expression. Yes, that's a very good way. So, हर किसी को मुकम्मल ये जहां नहीं मिलता. किसी को फलक, किसी को आसमान. You will not get a complete thing. You may get a lot of name and fame, but the things that you've chalked out for your child, that may not be in the offing. Because that's, again, that brings me to a place where I keep telling people that when you are using a certain house, you should learn to refill it. Otherwise, there could be problem with the office.
True. One more thing, ma'am, about his career. In his career, he had a very famous teacher or his guru, whom he till date mentions in his interviews.
Yeah.
It was a gentleman known as Ramakant Achrekar,
Okay.
who used to call him at sunrise, and that is the wet pants which Sharda ji was saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd
Pants
heard
were
it.
wet because they never dried in the sun.
Yes.
He had to be at the Maidan in Mumbai before dawn,
Yes.
be ready in his gear. And as the sun would rise, he would have to face the cricket ball, and he used to put a 1 rupee coin on the wicket. And
As
at the
many
end
yes,
of the
as many
day,
coins. Yes.
yeah, at the end of the day, if he was not getting out, he could take that 1 rupee coin home, or he would have to return the coin back to his guru.
Yes.
That was his story. That's how he never got out. His idea was to make that 1 rupee because he was so poor that 1 rupee mattered a lot to him.
And the thing is that exactly. So now you see the Lagna, the way the Lagna has suffered.
And the 12th lord is debilitated. It's a tough guru. The 12th house ke andar, sorry, not 12th house, the 9th house ke andar is a debilitated Mercury.
Just that's a Vipreet Rajyu.
And from his moon, the 9th lord is exalted.
Yeah, that's a debilitated. You have to understand that when you do a Vipreet Raj Yoga, the 12th and the 3rd lord is debilitated in the 9th house. He will make it good, and under very dire circumstances, he'll simply rise up in life. That's Mercury.
But from his moon, his 9th lord is exalted.
So that means he had very high aspirations right from the beginning. Lagna is what you do, moon is what you think. Okay. Okay, guys.
Is beautiful.
Yes. But before we end, remember that you can come with this potential. But until and unless you do karma, nahi suptasya singasya pravishanti mukhe, it will not work in your favor. Because Lord Rama's kundali or Lord Krishna's kundali, when we are studying that, we can say this happened. But had they chose to just work with the mantras, had they chose not to do things, I told you also in one of the classes, he made that Rameshwaram temple, that linga, not the temple. At that time, he had just made that ling, and he performed the puja. Lord Shiv blessed him. He got the energy. He went to fight. But the crux of the matter is, he did his karma. He went to fight. If you do not do that karma, you may have all the blessings. But Lord Shiv did not, even for Lord Ram, Lord Shiv did not say that, don't worry, I'll go and fight Ravan. Request Ravan to return. Ravan is one of my bhaktas. So I am not going to, he did not do that. No Lord, the Lord above can give you the energy, can show you the path, but will not fight your battles. Like Lord Krishna showed Arjun the path. He did not fight the battle for Arjun. Nobody. You are your own warrior. And astrology taught us that. And if we think astrology is all about mantras and stones, well, we need to have to come back from that la la land to the earth and say, yes, let's work. Okay.